Welcome to the 2020 Economic Recession and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again on this weekend edition, New Year's weekend edition. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. This channel is bringing you the latest, pure, unadulterated truth on the economy and world economic news. Well, today I just want to talk to you briefly about two brief topics. And we're going to be talking about the home sales crunch as well as the second stimulus checks. Many people have been receiving the $600 stimulus and the $1,200 and the chances of the $1,200 stimulus check passing the U.S. Senate. We're going to get into that in a moment. But first, we want to talk about the existing home sales decline for the first time in 5 months as prices rise and supply falls. So, as the economy is going into overdrive with all this money printing that the Federal Reserve Bank and others have been doing, home sales, the housing market is the one thing, the one area, everything is in a bubble, but the housing market is specifically the one thing that we're waiting to crash this year, sometime this year or the beginning of next year. And there were just 1.28 million homes available for sale at the end of November, December. That's down from 22% from a year earlier and represents a 2.3 month supply at the current sales price pace. This is the lowest inventory count since the National Association of Realtors began tracking this metric in 1982. So it's been over 38 years now. This is the lowest inventory that we have. The median price of an existing home sold in November was $310,800, a 14.6% increase compared with November 2019. And you have to remember, if you go to usdebt.org, the debt clock, the average price of a U.S. home now, single family home, is running around $335,000 nationwide. And I've obviously, certain areas are way higher, certain areas, some areas are lower than that, as you know. But that's the median price across the board in these United States of America. And so as we come into this 2021, the first quarter, and we've already predicted this, I told you about this several times, that we're going into, well, we're in a depression, but they're going to call it a double dip recession, those in the media, when they get the numbers back after January and February. And once, if the new president takes office, we don't know yet because it's got to be confirmed on, after this Senate race on the 6th, January 6th or the 7th, when they confirm the Electoral College votes and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not saying that. But if he is confirmed, President Biden, then that's when we're going to go into the double dip recession. We're already there. It's just that they're going to officially say that. The media is going to say that at the end of January. They'll tell you that, hey, you know what? Things have been slowing down. Negative GDP for 2 quarters. And it's really a depression because we had the situation here. So home sales fell 2.5% month-to-month basis to a seasonally adjusted rate of 6.6 million units, according to the National Association of Realtors. But they say that sales were strong, about 25% higher than from a year earlier. That's not saying much. That just means the demand for homes refinancing was high because of the low interest rates, the low mortgage rates, as you know, was hovering around 2.7, 2.8% on an average basis for a 30-year mortgage. So supply remains incredibly low, and that's hurting sales and affordability. But they're suggesting in the media that the latest decline could be due to the fact that home prices are rising way too fast. And what it is that it's in a bubble. Okay, just like this economy's in the bubble. The more you print, the less value the dollar has. So everything appears to be higher. Inflation, hyperinflation, food, housing, utilities, etc. And I know you see it in your area. I've seen it in my area and other areas as well. So the banks, they can afford to sit on these houses. They can afford to lead the market there because they know that they have the money and the capital to wait this thing out and sell it for double once the crash happens. And they'll get them double their money back. And those who are racing into this market buying a house, they must understand that right now it's not the time to be purchasing a house unless you need it for family purposes, or you're trying to build some type of equity before you sell it, or you're flipping it and trying to build some type of equity. In that case it may be good, but it's not a case to bite off more than you can chew just because they'll tell you that you're pre-approved for a $400,000 loan or a $500,000 loan. You don't want to bite off more you can chew in this economy, because when the crash happens, you're going to be upside down on the house, and your equity is not going to mean anything because the house is going to be reset to its true value. A lot of these houses in these subdivisions are priced 50 to 80,000, even 100,000 above the market what they're actually worth. And just to give you an idea, okay, the next time you're in your city or township or your locality, go drive to a new subdivision or a new township. See how they're building these houses, okay? It's nothing but sticks. The only piece of concrete you're getting is the foundation. Everything else is this hardy board, they call it, this sticks. That's not worth 250, 300,000, 400,000 a starter home. I'm sorry. And you're getting less square footage, but you're paying more per square feet for these type of houses, okay? And so if a hurricane comes, if a flood comes, even a tropical storm, your roof is gone, your shingles, your siding is falling off because they're not building this out of any type of strong materials, and it does not warrant the price. So a house that is really $330,000 selling today is really only worth $230,000 or $220,000 in face market value. But things have become so warped. As you know, we haven't been in a normal economy since 1995 or 1996, when we actually had a budget surplus under President Clinton and those lot. But we haven't been in a normal economy, and when the trade deal, the NAFTA, North American trade deal was signed, but we haven't been in a normal economy since then. So now we have houses that are selling for $300,000, $400,000 that really are only worth around $180,000 to $220,000, really, in solid materials, and things of that nature. But unfortunately, this is the market that we're in. So when this crash happens, ladies and gentlemen, this coming summer, from June to October, that's the crash window we're looking at here that I'm predicting. From June to October, this housing bubble is going to crash. There's going to be a lot of homelessness too, because remember, at the same time people are foreclosed on these houses and the housing supply shrinks, rent prices are going to be going up because of the demand in all of these cities and townships, and people are going to be evicted from that as well. So homelessness is going to be increasing. It's going to be a big squeeze play, and the banks are just going to take up everything. They're going to buy up all of these blocks of homes and townhomes and condos. And you notice that's the only thing that they're building right now is, if you look around your towns and cities, the only thing that they're building is multifamily units with stores at the bottom, right, and apartments up top, or townhomes or condos. That's the only thing that they're building. And this is already out in the 10-year plan or 15-year plan in terms of capital improvement. But you notice you haven't seen that many construction trucks on the road. I haven't. You haven't seen any, brick masons or electricians or plumbers. I haven't seen that many contractors on the road, on the interstates out here in the Northeast or in the South or in the Midwest going as much as we used to see. And so that tells you that the capital construction projects, the infrastructure projects that was promised under our President Trump has failed. And they will continue to fail if President Biden takes office. If he takes office on the 20th, they will continue. We don't know yet, but if he does take office, it'll continue to fail because America's broke, the government is broke, and with $28 trillion in debt. And so expect infrastructure in the major cities to start crumbling. Expect services to be cut back. Maybe some bus and subway services will be next to be cut back. I know Washington, D.C. was talking about cutting back metro service. I know other cities are going to follow, like New York and Boston, and maybe even some Midwest cities like Chicago are going to start cutting back some of those public services as funds become tight. Because remember, they're losing tax-based dollars. As schools are closed, they're losing property tax dollars. And they're going to continue. Universities are closed. They're going to be continued to be closed. We're going to continue to have virtual learning and virtual things. The stimulus checks, the $600 stimulus checks, great. If a lot of people got it, great. Continue to use those checks to prepare for what's coming, because when the dollar implodes, it becomes worthless. Even when the dollar is worthless, people will still accept greenbacks. Remember that. It's a little bit harder to get liquid in terms of gold and silver and crypto. Crypto is maybe a little bit more liquid, but it just depends. But greenbacks are going to be important even when this thing totally implodes, because people will still accept a dollar bill because they have faith in it on the street that it's worth something, and it's really backed by nothing. But, like I said, people have this faith, and, you can use it to barter for some things, okay? So keep that in mind. Use your stimulus wisely. The chances of a second $1,200 stimulus check right now is at 30%. So that's not very high chances that they'll pass it. The House has passed it, but the Senate is Republican controlled, as you know. So if they do pass it, it'll be right before, if President Biden takes office, it'll be just right after he takes office. And we won't see those checks, the $1,200 checks anyway, till March or April, because they'll have other little pork roll bills rolled into it to make everybody happy, and and all that. But basically, that will be the last check. If we do get that $1,200 direct payment, that will be the last check that we get, and they probably want to space that out. Congress wants to space that out, probably, like I said, to the spring break time around April. March, April, around tax time, and they'll probably send those out in conjunction with your refund check if you get a tax refund, sometime between April 15th, the deadline, and in early March to April 15th, or maybe just after the April 15th deadline, and they'll space that out just to keep people off their backs, and to keep the protests down and all those things that may be planned or unplanned down. So that's my prediction, because they're not going to send out a back-to-back check next week. Like, you got $600 coming to you. Most people in the next two weeks or so, they're not going to send out a $1,200 additional check back to back to back like that. So expect a $1,200 stimulus check, if you get one and if they pass, to come sometime at tax time, April 15th, or a little bit after that. That's the plan on that. So just to recap, guys, continue to prepare. If you need to buy yourself a house or a home, do so wisely. Do something that you can afford the monthly payments on, and that you can build equity safely and not be upside down when this collapse happens, because the whole housing collapse is going to be happening this year, either in the late summer or early fall. Okay, and then after that, we're going to have a credit collapse, and that's when the bond market and all that's going to blow up later on this year, in September, October, November. But right now, for this early part, they're focused on printing up a bunch of money, getting people situated before the next inning of the storm happens. And this is not counting any black swan events that may come up. Maybe we have a power outage in one part of the country, an EMP. This is not counting, we've had stranger things happening here in America. 2020 told us that anything is on the table, anything is possible in America. So please make sure that you continue to prepare. And please make sure you continue to share this video, because I haven't been getting any notifications that much. I think they're kind of like, YouTube is throttling me down, so I haven't been getting many notifications of you guys, sharing the video or anything. But just try to get the word out, and I'll be working on some other things too later on in the future, in this new year, to try to make it more exciting, and to make it more entertaining for my fans and for those of you who are listening. But I appreciate your support. Continue to support. We will continue to bring you the latest updates as best we can, using the YouTube platform for now. And hopefully I can switch over to my own platform so that I can have more freedom to discuss more things in detail. But for right now, this is what we have to work with. So thank you for joining me, and you guys have a blessed rest of the weekend, and I'll talk to you soon on Monday.